We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Stonewall Museum calls out Visit Florida for their new stance on LGBTQ+ Florida visitors. The executive director says they paid the travel organization to support them, and now Stonewall wants their money back.
Detroit aims to create an LGBTQ+ business district to revive queer spaces within the community. Input guiding site selection and resource allocation.
A retired teacher, Stephen Thorne, received a 5-year prison sentence for threatening a judge over Florida's Don't Say Gay law.
Major publishers and authors, including Penguin Random House and John Green, sued Florida over a law restricting school library books.
Broward County has a high concentration of male same-sex couples, similar to major cities like New York and San Francisco.
Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. Thank you. It is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment show support our mission to educate LGBTQ and the broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back anchor Paul Thomas. He is currently a member of the LGBTQ+ Advisory Committee to the City of Miami Beach, on the board of directors for the Point Foundation, and on the endorsement committee for SAVE, just to name a few. Good evening, Paul. It's so good to see you. How you doing?
Good evening, everyone. It's really nice to be back up here again.
Yes. Let's welcome back anchor and friend of mine. Everyone's a friend at the table, to be fair. But Matthew Darren is here. Matthew is an accomplished musician, performer, and producer. He does it all. He was a contestant on season 10 of American Idol, and his company, D-Rock Productions, curates some of South Florida's favorite musical events and concerts. Welcome back, Matthew. You've been at the round table quite a bit in the last few days.
I know. You've had me here the whole weekend, basically.
Yes, that's your seat now. We're going to put your name on the back of it. Let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen. He is a certified civil and family mediator and founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. From Hong Kong and having grown up across the world, he can offer a queer global perspective on current events. Welcome, Bobby. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
I feel like I don't get synced up with you enough at this table.
Well, hopefully this month we'll do better.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, let's welcome back Harrison C. Davies. He is a level 10 Google local guide whose contributions have amassed over 600 million viewer followings. Harrison is well known in the community for using this platform to give hundreds of small businesses a voice and exposure in the greater South Florida region and beyond. Welcome, Harrison. You've got some news to share with us. What's going on this week? Tell me what's happening.
Well, from a brick and mortar standpoint, and a movie fan, Greenwich Studios in North Miami, which was the more or less the only remaining working film studio in South Florida, is going to be celebrating 40th anniversary of Miami Vice on September 11th. It's a North Miami event, and we did receive word this morning that series regular and Oscar nominee Edward James Olmos will be in attendance.
Ooh,
there's a lot of there's a lot of celebration
news right at the round table.
Daisy Duke
you are supposed, if you attend, and you RSVP at scottgalvin.com. Should be wearing your best Miami Vice attire.
Miami Vice attire.
Oh, my arm.
Yeah.
I don't know where my white linen suit is.
It's after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
it's Florida,
fantastic.
though, so it doesn't really matter.
Go with pink.
Yeah.
This sounds like fun. And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Eric Restivo. Eric is well known for DJing at some of the largest clubs in West Hollywood and has had residencies in LA, P-Town, New York City, and now Wilton Manors.
Hey.
He is the television host of The W Boys, focusing on LGBTQ plus love for entertainment, broadcast Fridays, and then on demand. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you so much. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Queer News Tonight is excited to announce a series of historic live broadcasts from Europe during Munich's Gay Oktoberfest. 7 historic broadcasts will begin on Tuesday, September 16th at the famous mountain that opened the Oscar-winning movie The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. Queer News Tonight will broadcast for the next 2 weeks from Munich and Gay Days at the Oktoberfest Fairgrounds. Broadcasts will also take place in Innsbruck in Switzerland, Bolzano, Italy, and at Disney's Gay Castle in the Alps Neuschwanstein, where Bavarian Mad King Ludwig had his secret gay life. Join us for these special broadcasts with Al Ferguson, Faye Watt, and Darrell Watkins, and many, many more. First, this evening, let's queer up breaking news for South Florida and Florida. Stonewall Museum demands money back from Visit Florida and Dana Young over LGBTQ plus changes. Queer News Tonight was the first to report Visit Florida's decision to quietly remove all LGBTQ tourism content from its website. Visit Florida is one of the largest and most important tourism organizations in the world to promote tourism to Florida, except now to queer people. Stonewall National Museum's executive director Robert Keston has sharp words on Visit Florida's executive director Dana Young. Last week, she finally broke her silence, saying she was just following Florida directives. Now he clearly says they want their nonprofit money back. Stonewall National Museum has a $475 annual membership to be a part of Visit Florida's mission to attract LGBTQ plus visitors across the world to come to Florida. Keston says Visit Florida's now says queers are not welcome here, and that violates the purpose of their membership. Seemed a little harsh. Keston's many emails and contacts directly to their website have not been returned, and yesterday he took his cause to social media. Key tourism interests in Florida are aware of the request. Keston said, quote, "What I have been told is that they are aware of the post. People in Florida tourism have been asking for Stonewall to support and help them," end quote. Stonewall Museum is a longtime member of Visit Florida, and Visit Florida has been a decades-long supporter of LGBTQ plus tourism to the state. That all changed with the DeSantis campaign to silence LGBTQ plus voices as woke, largely because of his failed presidential aspirations. Keston says the, quote, "push back into the closet campaign," end quote, is deeper than we know. He said Stonewall's many offers to participate as speakers, training, conferences, and other activities have all been declined. He characterizes it as an orchestrated effort on behalf of Visit Florida to erase the queer community. He states, quote, "Now we understand why they are doing this. It is an attempt to erase us and any organizations and or contacts that would try to contact us. They intentionally eliminated us," end quote. Queer News Tonight asked what he hoped to accomplish, and his answer was clear. Quote, "The biggest dream is that organizations that are run by LGBTQ plus will get their money back. Join Stonewall, in saying this is wrong and help advertise reasons why LGBTQ plus should visit Florida, just not through visit Florida. Keston gave an ominous warning of what we are watching in Florida. He said, quote, Stonewall Museum demonstrates that across the history of LGBTQ+, we have always come out stronger on the other end of the fight. That is because of the strength of support we have received. This new strategy is limiting the success of being able to come out stronger, and that it doesn't happen again. We have lived in our own bubble now for so long, we do not know how to respond to these new types of attacks, end quote. Keston had a message directly to Dana Young. He said, quote, Dana, we want our membership funds returned. We want the pages reinstated on your website, and we demand an apology. Hate cannot be tolerated, end quote. Wow, that was rough even reading out loud for me, the goosebumps I was getting, and they were not all of the good ones, obviously. I just have to say this is the beginning of this story right now, although it's not the extremely beginning of it. We're now watching it unfold, right? And there is a long journey ahead, and I think that we are going to come out on the other end. However, I hate that we have to go through this to get there.
I think, you know, this story disturbs me in so many ways, but one thing that he said is, I don't think people understand the depth of this. There is a national movement to erase us.
Correct.
In Project 2025, we are erased. All of our protections are erased. They have already started running this playbook in other states, in Wisconsin and other states, where they're trying out things to see what they can get away with.
Right.
This is just an example of, like, let's do this and see if we can get away with it in Florida, where there is a huge LGBTQ population. The only way we get to the other end is by us standing up like we did in the old days and not tolerating this. This is completely unacceptable, but it's not a game. She said, I'm just following the directive of the state.
Right.
The directive is to erase them. Oftentimes when I sit in these different meetings, people talk about the LGBTQ financial impact, right? They like to bring these numbers out. Oh, we bring $1.4 billion into the economy. This is showing you that they don't care about your $1.4 billion. They want you gone. These belief systems are bigger than being on tourism. And we as a community need to get it together. And if you know people in this community who are voting for those people, because there's a lot of people in our community voting for DeSantis and other people like him,
right,
you need to have a long talk with them, because this is not a joke. This is very, very serious. And there's only one way on the other side. It's to fight together as a community. That's how we always won.
These, like you said, I actually was going to mention Project 2025 too. The idea that they want to erase us is not new. It's been ongoing since the Trump administration. They want to erase LGBTQ plus people from every aspect of public life, essentially shoving us into the closet and say, shut up, you're now the second-class citizen, and if you come out, we're going to punish you.
That's right.
They are, and this is fascism. We are just the first easy target. Women and LGBTQ people are just the first round of easy targets. They don't want to say other parts out loud, but we all know that racism, anti-Semitism, you know, or the ableism and all the other stuff is just coming down.
Oh, this is just a distraction for all of that. Of course, we're just the easiest, you know, pick right from us.
The Moms for Liberty stuff. I mean, these people are already implementing Project 2025 before. He was ever, the other guy will ever be elected. And even if he is not elected, they'll still try to work on the state level in order to erase our community.
Read a book called Nation State. It's already written how they turn each state in the United States into its own little country. And the tech companies run it. And you have no rights in these states. And it's a very, very serious thing. And our community really needs to wake up, because they keep pushing the issue and nobody pushes back. I've seen now John Trentella made a post, and now this gentleman made a post. That's it. No one else has said anything.
We should.
All these Florida tourism.
Silence is just as bad as being on the other side.
All these Florida tourism coming that love for us to come and throw these big events and take our money. Why are they so silent?
I'm glad that Robert did speak up, and what he and his team do at the museum is pretty incredible. They just did a reenactment of Stonewall. They do a lot of things, and the one good that you could possibly take away from this is that our local community will know that there is a Stonewall National Archive Museum here, based here in the Fort Lauderdale area.
For now.
And we need to support that, exactly, for now. And we need to support that because history will repeat itself if we don't stay,
That's
sharp.
right. That's right.
Well, next, let's queer up business. Detroit is modeling an LGBTQ plus business district like Wilton Manors. Detroit is making strides to establish an LGBTQ plus business district, aiming to fill the void left as queer spaces have diminished. Kevin Hurd, founder of the Detroit Regional LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce, noted the city has lost many of its LGBTQ plus venues since the 1970s and 80s. Now it's just down to 8. Unlike cities with established gayborhoods like Wilton Manors, Detroit lacks a dedicated LGBTQ plus hub. A gap Hurd seeks to address. The Chamber launched a survey in collaboration with the City of Detroit and LGBTQ plus research firm Community Marketing. The survey is to identify the most queer-friendly areas in Detroit. Hurd said the Chamber will be able to prioritize resources and services, highlighting that the survey results will guide focus groups and site selection for the district. So far, over 1,000 people have participated. Once the location is chosen, the Chamber will start a capital campaign to buy properties for queer businesses. The ambitious plan could take up to a decade, but the goal is to acquire the first parcel by 2026. Everyone here in Wilton Manors wishes our northern neighbors in Detroit all the success in the world. What a great story to have right after the last time. You know what I mean? Like the dedication to queer business, to queer community. There's just, it's amazing. And we've got some amazing performers here in Wilton Manors that actually hail from Detroit.
Do we? Ooh.
Miss Bouvier.
Really?
Yes. And
Jeez.
Miss Natasha Ricketts.
She's one of the top.
I know.
You know.
Both of whom will be joining myself and Eric Restivo on
shameless
September
little
12th
plug,
next week
honey.
at Pride Fantasia. If you haven't got your tickets, get them quickly. MatthewDarren.com.
There you go. We should have talked about that in the
I know,
intro.
I meant
That's a
that.
rescheduled
I
event,
meant to
right?
say that.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
yes.
rescheduled.
That was
event.
rescheduled from
Fantasia
Pride.
is supporting and benefiting SunServe's youth housing. They have a displaced youth housing program within all of the things that they do. SunServe is an amazing organization. They have so many things going on. If you don't know about them, you can look them up online. Or come next Thursday and hear a little bit more about them with some fun entertainment from our Michigan residents.
It's going to be incredible, and I'll be on the red carpet if you guys have any questions, all the fun stuff. I just love that the word gayborhood. So that you read that in the article. So any place in the United States that has a gayborhood, I feel happy. I feel when you search in your Google search gay bars and you're alone for, without your husband or without your partner or whatever for the night, but you want to go have a drink, you don't want to go to the hotel bar. I love a gayborhood. So this makes me happy.
Well, that's how we go back so far. Is we used to live in Wilton Manors. We do that now.
Yes.
We used to live in West Hollywood together.
Correct. And just gayborhood. Right
Gayborhood
there.
for days.
Actually, I recently visited the gayborhood in Orlando. I mean, I go to Orlando a lot as an annual pass member for the, but I never actually quite explored the downtown area and the other area where it's like
What's
more
the big
LGBT.
one in Orlando? Gay Days? Oh, so that's not a club, right?
That's, well,
Is that a club?
That's the
Disney
Disney Gay Days, but they have their own pride, of course, their own commemoration because
Is there
of
a John
It is.
Things in Orlando? No, there's one in Tampa.
There's one in
Yes,
Tampa.
Yes.
It's really interesting that I think Detroit is trying to revitalize itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you do that, what's the first thing you do? You invite the gays,
gays,
right?
honey, yeah.
Come fix this place up.
Yeah,
And I wish them well, because it's too cold up there for people like me. But I wish them well up there.
I think it's always great that there's a concentrated area. I mean, we'll talk more about it because we have another story coming up about the census. But there seems to be I always like the idea that there's an urban area where the LGBTQ community is a safe space that's automatically welcome. I can hold my husband's hand or my boyfriend.
Yes, that's a
On the
big
drive.
That's a big thing that you just said, holding up the hand.
Safe.
Yeah.
And the safety, because in today's world, guess what? It's still not safe out
it's not
there.
safe.
No,
You know?
not at
We
all.
fool ourselves sometimes. Alrighty, next, let's queer up social justice. Oh, here we go. Let me sit up straight.
Yeah, sit up straight for sure. Let's go. Come correct.
Retired gay teachers sentenced to 5 years for threatening judge over Don't Say Gay ruling. A retired gay teacher, Stephen Thorne, was sentenced to 5 years in prison this week for threatening a Trump-appointed judge over her ruling on Florida's Don't Say Gay law. The sentence, issued by U.S. District Judge William Jung in Tampa, is double what prosecutors had recommended. Thorne, 66, pleaded guilty in May to making a threat after leaving obscenity-filled voicemails for U.S. District Judge Wendy Berger. Judge Berger had rejected a legal challenge to Governor Ron DeSantis' controversial law that restricts discussions of sexual orientation and gender identity in Florida classrooms. In the voicemails, Thorne criticized the judge, claiming she was basically giving a green light for LGBTQ children to be treated as second-class citizens and bullied. He added, "Let's see how you would like it if somebody endangered your children in school or your grandchildren in school." Before sentencing, Thorne submitted a letter of apology expressing regret for any distress caused to the judge and her family. He mentioned that his son is gay, explaining that this may have contributed to his emotional response. Despite Thorne's apology, Judge Jung was firm in his decision, sentencing Thorne to the maximum penalty. Prosecutors highlighted the growing number of threats against federal judges, which have more than doubled in the last 3 years, signaling a troubling trend. Let me tell you, this story has me like crazy because first, people have to know who their judges are. Our elections are coming up. Please rely on organizations like SAVE and Equality Florida, Human Rights Commission, organizations that are pro-equality, because it's hard to keep on top of them all. But you have to understand what a judge is in your community and how much power they have in your community. And things have not been going our way. And when a law like Don't Say Gay comes out and a judge refuses to even address it, right? People take that personally. If he's 66 and he has a gay son, he probably went through a lot. You know, to make sure that his son was safe. Exactly. And so you can imagine an emotional response coming from someone trying to protect their children, also reliving trauma, right? Now, I understand that threatening a judge is obviously not a good thing, right? But I think that the legal system has been attacking our community for so many years now. People are fed up and they really don't understand. Who knows what a circuit court judge is, right? The average person has no clue what these things are.
I was like, huh? When I was thinking,
right. These people just know that these things keep coming down and it keeps harming us. And so I think to give someone 5 years, I looked up what other crimes
offenses,
get 5 years. And it's like assault with like an armed weapon. It's like really horrific, physically, like, come on. The guy was upset. He left some email. You can send him to a diversion program. You can send him to a training.
Was that quote the threat? Just how would you feel if your child?
Yeah, that's probably it.
It didn't feel too risky to me.
That doesn't feel threatening. I mean,
it said obscenity laced, and it's my guess would be it's the judges going, hey, this is a way, like making an example out of it.
Exactly, because
going, you know what, I'm going to give it and show you what kind of authority I have over you.
Because
to stop the next person, but that's the wrong way to do it.
You hit the nail on the head, because I just make a quick look up. Not only was the judge a Trump appointee, by the way, these federal judges, so they were appointed for life by president. The judge who sentenced him for double the minimum punishment was also a judge appointee.
Exactly.
I can guess what his opinion on LGBTQ people are, or people who are allies to LGBTQ people. I mean, January 6th defendants get sentenced for less.
Correct.
And
for less. People do a lot of things and get less than 5 years.
5 years in federal, this is retaliation.
It's retaliation.
You criticize Don't Say Gay, I'm going to throw you in jail for the maximum of time.
And that's the problem. And that's why we have to be aware, and we have to really be on top of, in political circles, I have this whole thing that no judge should be appointed, because judges get paid by tax dollars. And they're responsible for our communities.
Correct.
And we should know who they are.
Correct.
And we should be able to vote them out if they're not doing things that we believe are okay.
Right.
They shouldn't be appointed for a political purpose and then attack community. We are equal citizens in the United States, no
be.
matter their political position, right?
Exactly.
We're all like equal American citizens.
Yeah, they can't
You don't
be like,
get to
we're the people sometimes.
You know, right,
Yeah, like,
right.
Yeah, you know.
On the flip side, though, I just want to point out that the reason judges are appointed, especially even in the federal system or in some state system, is that it's supposedly to avoid having the judge basically have to run on politics. For example, DAs are often elected, especially in this in Florida.
Right.
So they try, they know that their opponents will label them as soft on crime if they don't go for maximum prosecution of everything. That allows the justice system to be abused and biased against certain minorities.
But it's being abused and biased against it. But it's being abused and biased.
Yeah,
and people are
in power.
Absolutely, and they are absolutely using their political purpose and picking out certain people and putting them in charge of certain courts so that they can harm American citizens. This should never, ever, ever be allowed.
It just goes back to what we've been speaking about. Feeling safe. You could tie even back to holding hands. This 66-year-old man comes from a generation where I'm sure was not easy to be
Not
gay.
at all. That's my generation.
So I know that my mother had a fear when I came out.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that this father has that same fear. To express that fear to a person of power and authority that you would think would be on your side, and to completely see it shit in your face makes you feel unsafe for you and your child, and he probably just acted on that emotion. For me, it's like it just all circles back to our safety.
Yeah, there's a gentleman his age range who said to me in doing political interviews, said, I don't like the use of this word queer. Because in his generation, this was a horrible word, queer. Because I don't understand why you're using it. He said, do you know how many times I went to school and fought the whole school system and fought my whole neighborhood to stop calling my son queer, just so that he could get through a school day and not get beat up. He's like, I don't want to hear that word. So when I read this, I thought of him, and I thought of like a father who loves their son. Yeah. Who's like, oh my God, you're coming after my kid again. And they're reacting. That doesn't deserve 5 years. I looked to see if there was an appeal or anything put in yet. I have not been able to find anything.
I'm sure we'll follow it.
Based off of those two quotes, it makes no sense because I don't see a threat. I see somebody trying to align themselves and say, look, we're similar on this part of the story. So that's just mind blowing to me. It's freedom of speech, right? And if you're a public servant with a phone number for civilians to call in and air their grievances, then that's kind of part of the shtick, right?
Was the voicemail the smoking gun in this? That was
I said multiple voicemails with poor language, obscenity. But I mean, we had
5 years.
We had a president who didn't know how to keep his mouth on camera,
or where to keep his hands.
I mean, I think if people were held accountable for anything they left on a voicemail in a fit of passion, everybody be in prison at this point.
Exactly.
Or a text message for that matter.
Don't get started with the people who wrote this, who wrote these laws. But anyways, next, let's queer up students and youth culture. Major publishers sue Florida over school library book LGBTQ restrictions. A coalition of the nation's largest book publishers and authors have filed a lawsuit against Florida education officials. The plaintiffs include Penguin Random House, Hatchet Book Group, Macmillan, HarperCollins, Source Books, and author John Green and Julia Alvarez. The suit is lodged in the U.S. District Courts for the Middle District of Florida in Orlando to challenge a 2023 Florida law that increased scrutiny on school library books, alleging it unconstitutionally restricts free speech. The publishers named school board members from Orange and Volusia County school districts as defendants. The law, known as HB 1069, mandates the removal of books containing sexual conduct without considering the educational or artistic value of the work. It requires that any book objected to by a parent or resident be removed within 5 days and stay unavailable until the matter is resolved. This has led to the removal of hundreds of titles, including classics like Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, and The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Florida Department of Education spokesperson dismissed the lawsuit as a stunt, insisting that no books have been banned, but rather that inappropriate content is being kept out of schools. The lawsuit seeks to restore educators' ability to evaluate books holistically, ensuring students across a broad range of viewpoints. Recently, PEN America also filed lawsuits against a similar law in Escambia County, underscoring the urgency of fighting unconstitutional legislation. Well, first of all, no surprises there. Then, Florida school boards right now is, actually, we had a pretty successful primary season, but before we had a term essentially infested with ultra-conservative right-wing activists from Moms for Liberty, where they want to challenge every single book. I mean, look at the books being challenged. We're not even talking about queer books.
I know, it was like the kite ride.
Brave New World. Brave New World is not, it's about diopsian future where the rulers enforce groupthink and enforce don't criticize the leadership, don't believe what you see, believe what you hear, which is basically the Fox News model these days. And Anne Frank's Diary of a Young Girl was banned because, well, let's face it, a lot of the same people who hate LGBTQ people are also anti-Semitic. They submit these books basically because they want to ban books of every minority. I'm sure Black American books are also being banned as well. Of course. And so also it's completely disingenuous for the Department of Education to even say that we're not banning books, we're just withdrawing these books from school. That's a book ban. That is literally a book ban.
The good news of the story,
ban, withdraw.
Right. The good news in the story is that the bigwigs have jumped into the fight, and really we need them. We need HarperCollins. I often say, like in different work that I do in this state, that it's time we need lots of help from outside the state because they have too much control inside the state to stop you from getting too many things done. And you really need these big guys from outside the state to say, this is not acceptable. And they have the resources and they have the connections that they could put up a fight against the state of Florida. A lot of us can't really put up a fight against the state of Florida.
I think we also need more authors. We can't forget J.K. Rowling, but Stephen King can participate. Stephen King is very vocal about the book bans. There are many of the authors of Hunger Games or whatever young people like to read.
There is a train of thought out there that says that because of the way people are educated by reading books like The Diary of Anne Frank, which may want you to stand up for your freedom. Right? That then it's a lot harder to control people. And what they're saying is, wait a minute, people have read so many books and they've gotten so educated that they're fighting against the control that the patriarchy's had over them comfortably. And they're going, no, this is not acceptable for us anymore. And this is their attempt to try to push us back push us all back down in the clouds.
By the way, if there's a book that contains sexual references, violence, and all that stuff, we should ban the Bible.
Absolutely.
Bible is full of incest and
have you ever
murder and sex and forced, sexual abuse, etc.
George Carlin said it best: more people have been killed in the name of God than for any other reason.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
I feel like this is the third week that I've said this, looking straight into the camera. I'm just going to say it again. Please support your local bookshops.
Yes.
And
read all the
Barnes
damn
and
books.
Noble are great, but there are also literal local, small, tiny bookshops
in
our neighborhood.
It's great.
Go and give them
it's
cash.
all the way down there.
Go support local small businesses.
Is there one hiding in Wilton?
No.
It's not in Wilton. Where is Books?
Books and Books is in Miami Beach.
I was gonna say,
take the trip.
And
jump on the Bright Line for the day and go grab yourself some books.
Go down, get brunch,
Seriously.
watch some
You can eat
drag
there.
queens, do their thing, get a book on the way back, it'll be great.
And if that's too far, go to the Barnes & Noble on Federal and keep it open.
And also, you can at this point, you can get online and go on Amazon.
Yes.
And check out queer writers or any topic.
Kindle,
really.
Kindle is a
all
great
of it.
thing.
Yeah.
We really can't allow these politicians to continue to try to harm us in this way.
Correct.
Though, you know?
It's so funny that the number one argument you hear from Moms of Liberty and all of these organizations and a lot of the right-wing religious sect say that the LGBTQ community is trying to groom young people or indoctrinate young people. And as a pastor's kid growing up, and as someone who was raised in a religious educational system throughout my entire educational career through college, like indoctrination, allowing a child to open their mind to different trains of thought and ideas and different cultures and experiences that are out there is not indoctrination. That is allowing them to become a critical thinker and somebody who can decide for themselves what they believe is correct.
But that's
to limit them to one specific doxology is indoctrination. Is trying to mold and shape them exactly how you see fit, and instead of allowing them to become the beautiful, like, broad rainbow spectrum of who they are, no pun intended, but allowing people to be who they are is what we need to do with our kids.
But that's exactly what they want. They want They
Control.
want a generation of drones who only hear from one point of view and no one else. And
I mean, you brought it up when you said the Bible.
Yeah, right.
Look at the Roman Catholic Church. The Bible was canonized and translated by King James in order to control the populace. I'm going to give the power to the priests. They're the only ones that can read it anyway. So we're going to have everybody else just sit there and listen to what they're supposed to do.
I feel like we could talk about this forever because it really brings so many points.
Turn.
But the only thing that baffles me about this is just all these popular books. They've all been adapted into miniseries.
I know.
Oscar winner, The Diary of A Tale of Two Cities. There's like 20 miniseries.
Yeah.
They all tell the same story. Like the book, get rid of the book. The story still will continue. You're not going to change anything, and it's stupid for you to think that way anyway.
Well, so the effort to ban it is really just showing, right, that we're going to do, that we can hurt you whenever we feel like it, that we'll do whatever we can to you. You can't ban it. Everyone has a Kindle. Everyone has a phone. You can download whatever book you want on the planet, right?
It's just that layout.
Taking that action to ban the book, to throw out all those books at New School, they threw out every Black history book, every LGBTQ history book before college started. They threw them all in a dumpster. That act is just like violence against our community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really is just kind of like, let's grab your attention and make you focus your energies here while we do something over here that really attacks you on a legislative level.
That has been going on for the last 4 years now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
take the mic, honey.
Going back down to South Florida again, or Florida, more specifically South Florida. The census reveals that gay couple hotspots. New LGBTQ data coming soon. According to new data from the U.S. Census, Broward County, Florida stands as one of the top counties in America with a high concentration of same-sex couples. Big surprise there. The county, which includes Wilton, Manors, and Fort Lauderdale, joins major cities like New York, San Francisco, and Riverside, California, which does include Palm Springs. These counties had the highest concentration of male same-sex couples. This contrasts with female couples who are more likely to be found in smaller towns and less populated counties, such as Kings County, New York, and Alameda County in California. The census data also highlighted a trend of same-sex couples settling in areas with larger LGBTQ populations, predominantly in Florida. The Northeast and the West Coast, however, the current census data has limitations. So, limitations here. It only captures LGBTQ information for people who live together as spouses or partners. This means that a significant portion of LGBTQ community members, those who are single, not cohabitating, remains unrepresented in these statistics. To address this gap, the Census Bureau has announced that this week plans to include questions about sexual orientation and gender identity in its annual American Community Survey, beginning next year. This edition marks a significant step towards more inclusive data collection, which will help us better understand and serve the diverse queer community. The ACS, which surveys nearly 300,000 households annually, will offer a more comprehensive look at American life and inform federal funding allocations. This initiative follows President Biden's directive to enhance federal data collection on queer communities, demonstrating a commitment to inclusivity and representation. As of this report, it is unclear what will happen in 2025 if Donald Trump is elected. Well, I mean, I know this is going to be a fun topic for everybody, but I mean, from somebody, a native Miamian, native South Floridian who made the hop of the border up to Broward. I mean, no surprise here, but I think it just, I don't know. How do we feel about that? The single element, the data collection.
I think that's great. That we need to collect single, especially LGBTQ population where there's a lot of us are simply not attached. But I think that is also great. I think Broward County is also an outlier though. Like for example, New York and San Francisco, the gays are always in the city. They're still in the city. In New York, I think I always joke that in New York, the gay village moved 10 blocks every 10 years. So it started in the village, and then it went to Chelsea, and now it's a Hell's Kitchen. Right. So by the time I'm old and gray, I'll be in Columbia. And
up at the 59th Street top, yeah.
And meanwhile, Broward is very different in that the center of gay life literally moved 30 miles north. Literally went from South Beach and South Beach only, and then in one generation, no one's left in South Beach, but we're all now in Wilton.
We have a huge gayborhood in South Beach. Huge gayborhood.
It used to be.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be huge and a lot more attractions. Now, no offense, Paul, but down there's not much attraction. That's
you know what?
Not like it used to be.
We talked about it earlier too, like the LGBTQ community, the gays. I love us. But we go into places, we make them prettier, we make them better, and then they become too pricey. Yeah. And especially if you're not in a relationship with somebody, it's very pricey for a single person. Mm-hmm. But even further back on the data collection, the heteronormality that we have as a society of you're supposed to go to school and then find a partner to mate with and create a family of kids and then move on. That is something that was constructed for us as well. Like that is not something that we need to adhere to as any free citizen. And there's plenty of people that I've known in my life who have no desire whatsoever to be in a relationship with anyone specifically. And then now, as it's becoming more and more popular or acceptable to share, the amount of friends that I have that consider themselves polyamorous and just want to create connection with other human beings wherever they go. There's so many different like types of us, human beings, us as human beings, out here. We don't need to follow the construct.
The part about this story that affects me, I guess, is working in public health, is that census information was so important. We fought to get it on. Trump took it off. And the reason why it really hurts is because that's money. It's a lot of federal dollars. And when we look at housing needs and we look at the different needs of our community, and when we go to a commission meeting and they say, we don't have the money. We could have the money had you counted everyone in the area. And they realize the size of the population of people, that comes with more federal dollars. And it allows local community to provide more services to the community. We were left out again intentionally because they didn't want our community to be important or to have access to those funds. And so the fact that the Biden administration said, no, you have to go back and find these people and you have to start to collect this data. It's important. It is more important than you can imagine when you start to look at all the different needs of our community and people go, we don't have the funds. We could have the funds if they counted everyone.
And it was crazy. It only said 300,000 households. That's what it said. I mean, if you think about that alone in itself, that's such a small percentage.
Well, that's actually a statistical sampling. I mean, just like the U.S. Census itself, these surveys are carried out based on a sampling of data. and then they extrapolate that data to figure out what.
Which is why the representation needs to be there even more so.
Even
more,
more so.
Your votes matter. I mean, I know that we have been repeating those three words now like 1,000 times in the past in this year, but your vote matter. Voting the right party and the right person and your right representative.
For your own rights.
That's right.
So you're not made invisible.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And underfinanced.
And young people, you do not have to vote the way that your parents vote. I can tell you this, I love my mom to death. She and I don't agree on everything politically, but when I was in college, I used to feel like I'll just ask my mom how she voted on everything, and then I'll go to the poll and fill out the same answers because I trusted her. And that's wonderful. But at the same time, if you find people around you that don't align with your belief system, then feel free to educate yourself. You have so many things at your fingertips. Look at how your friends are impacted. Look at the people around you. Look at the people who you don't know and people who are different than you, and then make a decision for yourself. It's very important.
And one other safety feature that you bring up, very well, so one other safety features you bring up is a lot of people who are new to this country, maybe their immigration papers haven't finished out, they do not want to fill out census data because they feel like they can be tracked. And so there really has to be an effort. There really has to be an effort, right? But if they fill out something from the government, when you come from a fascist country where the government's really, you don't want to fill out anything from the government, especially if you're here illegally or temporarily or whatever. And so people get lost, and it's really, really important that we don't leave anyone behind. Like we have to count. Everyone counts. Every single person counts.
Coming from California, just to kind of bookend this, I didn't know that there was any neighborhood gay life in South Florida, and I've only been here just about 2 years. So for that fact, we need to do better in South Florida, because it's hard to believe that we are now amongst the numbers of some of those cities like San Francisco and West Hollywood, because it just doesn't seem like that in real life. If you've ever been to West Hollywood and if you've ever been to Wilton Manors, and that's not a dig at either one, but I am saying one feels, I mean, there are places 15 minutes north of where we are right here where I don't feel like I can hold my husband's hand. There are not places 15 minutes north of West Hollywood.
That's right.
So that is a major statement right there.
And access to things.
We should not veer far away from keeping Florida as safe as it can be, because it's still a little rough around the edges.
Absolutely. And access, right? We're always number one or number two with HIV transmission. And it's always about, where do you get the money? We're having a huge problem with housing. Where do you get the money? Like, these things are super important. So who you vote for matters, because Biden's administration is now making us visible again and going, go back and find those people and get them on this data so we can provide federal funds and we can start to bring relief.
That's right.
It makes a difference, you know?
This could be a whole episode, but Matthew, I'm going to make you segue us here.
I'm just in rap.
No, I understand.
This man has me. I'm totally tipping his fingertips in the palm of his hand. Like, teach me more. Tonight's podcast is presented by viewers like you who are going to vote, right?
They're not going to let us be on
the generous
again.
support by Visit Lauderdale. Oh, everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
We finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Strictly Come Dancing to exclude same-sex pairings for upcoming series. The BBC's popular show Strictly Come Dancing will reportedly not feature any same-sex dance pairings in its upcoming 22nd season. Upcoming in its 2022nd season, marking a return to its, quote, traditional roots. The show was the inspiration of America's Dancing with the Stars. This decision comes as the show, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary, seeks to move past all the recent controversies. A source close to the show indicated that the change was driven by a desire to appeal to all its viewers. Despite the BBC's aim to appear inclusive and progressive, the producers acknowledged that not everyone is going to like same-sex pairings. This will be the first time in 5 years that Strictly Come Dancing will not include same-sex pairings. I've never watched Strictly Come Dancing. I have watched Dancing with the Stars. I don't know if I've ever really considered the same-sex pairings as something I needed representation in, if I'm being honest. I just always was thrilled to see LGBTQ representation, period.
Do you guys know the show Schitt's Creek?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you know how in the show they didn't explain anything? Like there was no explanation of you're gay, you're a lesbian, you're black, you're white, you're a tiny person, you're a giant. That's how I wish everything was like in real life. Mm-hmm. Like if they wanted one season to have a same-sex couple just because that was the talent they were looking for that season amongst the other straight couples, fine. You know, I mean, it doesn't need to be so trumpet in my face. You know, I want to see it on my screen in any capacity, but I don't need it to be like a one-time drop-in like Pride every June. Like just make it all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And so
what did David say? It's not the
he's
label,
like,
it's more the wine.
White wine and red wine. It's not the label, it's the wine. Yeah.
The sad part is that it sounded like, from what we read, that they did have same-sex couples for
and then
5
they
years.
took it back.
And the whole point of that is really to get this in people's living rooms who aren't exposed.
Exactly.
To get them so used to seeing it that it doesn't become an issue, to make other people in those communities safer. Like if you live in a place like Weston and you're like, oh my God, I can't go outside and be me, but I can sit home and watch this show and be okay. It's super, super important. I'm really disappointed that they said they want to make it so that everyone can. Yeah, and it's like, but you just cut people out. So how's that?
People who don't like watching.
Yeah, you prioritize them, right? The ignorance and the hate. Right. It's like, no. You have to bring that back. It's too important to take away.
I would rather the selection to be more organic than just like we need to have a black couple, a white couple,
as opposed to a boxer checking.
I mean, a tokenism is no way to live.
Correct.
Agreed. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. Bob the Drag Queen. Now, Bob the Drag Queen I like. Joins Queerest season of The Traitors with Alan Cumming as a host. Bob the Drag Queen, the season 8 champion of RuPaul's Drag Race and star of HBO's We're Here, is set to compete in the 3rd season of The Traitors. The drag star revealed on the Sloppy Seconds podcast that her friend and podcast co-host, Monet Exchange, has been instrumental in preparing her for the show's cutthroat format. The Traitors, hosted by Alan Cumming, challenges contestants to manipulate and deceive one another with the aim of avoiding elimination. This season promises to be the queerest yet, featuring not only Bob, but also other queer icons like Trishelle Strauss, excuse me for not saying your name correctly, from Selling Sunset, and Lord Ivar Mountbatten. Season 3 is likely to premiere in 2025 on NBC's Peacock.
Hey!
Sounds like a lot of fun to me. I don't know what any of I'm old. I don't know what any of these.
Such a good.
I don't know what these shows are.
so
But I do like Bob. I like Bob. I've seen Bob before. Hilarious, so smart.
In like a decade.
Have you
Well,
ever played
it's-
that game
it's-
Mafia, like the group game
It's
Mafia?
Peacock.
That's it
the
on television.
NBC
That's big,
Peacock, you know. Oh God, I got to interview Alan Cumming here in this seat about the Traitors, and he was just a freaking riot. He's
Really?
he's just so theatrical, you know.
Right.
Everything he does, he takes a breath, and you're like, oh my God, you know, I love that.
Peppermint was on the second season.
She was sent
and
home
she was sent
first.
so fast.
First.
So I
And
hope
it
Bob
was-
can stay. And I wonder, like, I didn't see him on the pictures, but I wonder, like, is he showing up as Bob?
So they
or Bob
do
the
it.
drag
They
queen?
have. It's in their agreement that they have to be in drag. It's drag. They're drag
love it.
personalities. Yeah.
I absolutely love
Yeah,
that.
they
That
have to
again,
be
it's
in-
representation. You
Right.
know what
I
mean?
do think it's funny though that it was like Peppermint and Trishelle from The Real World in the last season,
Oh,
and now it's
yeah.
Bob the drag queen and Chrishelle from Selling
Sunset,
Sunset.
yeah.
So talking about checking boxes, right? Drag queen check, stupid Karen white girl check. Just going down. Oh, stop.
The real world is a thing still?
But say it again.
Is the real world still a thing?
So they
She
do,
went on
you
the
know, the
challenge.
challenges.
Oh,
yeah, she's like one of the MVP.
like both shows have been dead for a long time, so like they still do the challenge, which makes no sense.
They still do the challenge, and it's still like those same six people,
Really?
like, from
Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah.
They just basically do that for a living now.
But yeah, no, watch the Traitors. Even if you don't enjoy reality television competition series, watch the Traitors. There's a level of production value
There
that
you
other
go.
shows don't have. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's clear up the world view. Matt Barr's book, A Long Story: Life with One of the World's Largest Penises, will break stereotypes. Matt Barr, believed to have the largest penis in the UK, is sharing his story in a new book titled A Long Story: Life with One of the World's Largest Penises. The book will be released early next year. Gay Twitter had a huge amount of comments on the new book and gay discussion on the size. Barr has been open about his size since 2022 and aims to challenge stereotypes. Barr, who is often told he should do porn, disagrees with the notion. I also agree to disagree with that. Rather, he says, quote, "In the grand scheme of things, it will cause you issues if you're my size, so be careful what you wish for," end quote. Currently an ambassador for male sex toy brand Fleshly, which caters to men with larger anatomies, Barr encourages embracing body diversity. He also hopes his book offers a hysterical look at an unusual life and a fascinating in-depth dive into how much size really matters. In case you're interested, his size is reportedly 14 by 8.5 inches, and we've done the legwork here at the round table. That's kind of big. At Queer News Tonight, we report all the news that is fit to print. Well, I will say this, as a lover of the male anatomy, too much of a good thing is not always great. Just saying. What, boys? Anything?
I mean, the teleprompter is not even 14 inches.
No. No, 14 inches is basically, think of it as a legal pad. Legal pad is 14 inches long. So it is as long as a legal pad, and if you roll it up into diameter, which is about 8.5, so a rolled up legal pad.
You know, the thing you clean your toilet with? It's like that. Like that long thing that you clean your toilet with. What do you call that? Toilet cleaner?
Brush?
A brush.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
Honey,
that.
I don't think we should actually
likening
call
those
someone's
two-
schlong and toilet brush.
Size. Okay.
Size.
Okay.
Really does matter.
I'm glad he's okay. It seems like a lot to carry around.
You know what?
Yeah.
though?
With you
Are
for
they
a very
away? Are
long
they-
time.
are
and
his custom
His
pants?
poor spine.
yeah, it just doesn't sound, it sounds like I'm glad he's writing a book and he's getting to talk about it.
So he has
it couldn't have been
demonstrated-
easy for him going through life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about that, the trauma as a child.
He must have a fun time.
Well,
during
I
puberty.
read the word hysterical in there, so I like the fact that he's,
Making some fun
like
with it,
hysterical.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
narratives. I mean, Boogie Nights is one of my favorite movies. That's a whole
Right.
100 or almost 3-hour movie dedicated to
Right.
something similar. So I
Absolutely.
mean, tell the story and have some fun with it.
Yeah,
I think I just want to look at it.
yeah.
See it.
Okay, well...
That looked like a touch. That looked like a touch more than a save.
Eric, we'll leave that to you and Google, but...
I'll follow up.
Next, let's bring up LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Patti LuPone plays gay women with Mia Farrow in new Broadway show The Roommate. The Roommate is set to make its Broadway debut at the Booth Theatre on September 12th, starring Mia Farrow and Patti LuPone. Written by Jen Silverman and directed by Jack O'Brien, the play centers on Sharon, a Midwesterner played by Farrow, whose life is turned upside down when Robin, a lesbian New Yorker portrayed by LuPone, moves in. Their contrasting personalities led to a journey filled with secrets, surprises, and an unexpected bond. In an interview this week, CBS News Sunday Morning correspondent Seth Doyen, sorry about the name, gave us a glimpse of the chemistry between two women. We see Mia Farrow praising LuPone, saying, quote, "If I had 1,000 hats, they'll all be off to Patti LuPone." End quote. While talking about their bond, LuPone humorously says, quote, "I am pepper, she's sugar, or agave, or honey, and I'm paprika."
The Roommate is a comedy about a New Yorker portrayed by LuPone who moves to the Iowa home of Farrow's character. Secrets and surprises abound.
I'm gay. Oh, you. I mean, I don't have any problem with homosexuals.
Oh, good.
No, not at all.
Well, that looks like a fun thing to do if you happen to be near Broadway this coming week.
It's funny how my brain works with this story. Mia Farrow is from Rosemary's Baby originally, correct? So they just released the trailer for the prequel series starring Julie Gardner from the Ozark, and she's going to be playing Madonna in the biopic, and she was the Anna Delvey. She's really great.
Oh, okay.
They're doing a prequel series of how Rosemary came to be, and she's playing Rosemary now. So it's so funny. Mia Farrow on Broadway. That's happening. So that's how my brain
Mia
thinks.
Farrow's having a little resurgence. But they're both fantastic, right? And it's like,
it's incredible.
It's got to be a great show.
And
Patti LuPone is like a huge...
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
If you're not in New York on September 12th, I'm just saying that there's also Pride Fantasia where you could see another lesbian or gay icon in your local
Actually,
theater.
many lesbians.
All together, you know?
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Democrats launch Out for Harris in Florida with actor B.D. Wong. This weekend, Democrats have launched the Out for Harris campaign in Florida, aiming to rally LGBTQ plus voters ahead of the upcoming election. The event in Fort Lauderdale was hosted by Team Harris Walls for Florida, featuring notable figures like Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Fort Lauderdale Mayor Dean Trantelis, and Equality Florida's Nadine Smith. They emphasized Trump's anti-LGBTQ plus record, highlighting concerns about his potential plans to challenge same-sex marriage and restrict access to surrogacy and IVF if reelected. Jurassic Park and M. Butterfly actor and gay activist B.D. Wong, also Linus in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown on Broadway, My Blanket and Me, also attended the campaign, stating Kamala Harris and Tim Walz know that in America, our greatest strength is our diversity. They are fighting for the freedom, respect, and dignity of every American, no matter who they are or who they love. The Florida LGBTQ plus Democratic Caucus also supported the event, showing widespread statewide backing for the initiative. Queer News Tonight anchor Faye Watt had backstage access to talk to B.D. Wong and what is at stake in this election. We will show you that interview in this broadcast. I do know that the turnout for this Out for Harris campaign was massive. I saw many a video. I'm a huge fan of B.D. Wong, but what we need more, I think you even touched upon this earlier, is we need more celebrities, whether they're LGBTQ plus or not, because they could be an ally, we'll take it, to use their platform and do things like stream the Out for Harris campaign that's happening here in Fort Lauderdale. Share an Instagram feed from B.D. Wong. Be more like B.D. Wong and come here and do it. You know, if you are as worried as your Instagram stories that you're creating at night say you are, come here and act on it because we need more people with the platform to make it work, you know?
And if you're saying that a lot of people showed up and that it was
a great turnout. Yeah.
Then let me tell you, to get people to show up and go knock on doors, because that's what they were doing that day, is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so if it took him showing up, thank you, BD Wong, for coming and saying, I'll be that draw to get people to come and get it. Because at the end of the day, BD Wong is going to go back home. We're left living here in Florida with no rights.
And by the way,
so we need to, if that's what activates us so we can go out and help get our rights back, then everybody come. And
not to interrupt you, but it was like, even because they had a ticker on the website that was showing you how many signups were happening once you registered. And even 4 days before the event, I mean, I remember when I registered, I was number like 1678, you know, so it was growing as the days were going by. So even if all these people didn't maybe show up that day, they still registered for this campaign, right?
Yeah.
So that's still a million newsletters going out.
It's fantastic.
It's just
correct information
that we need, and it's correct information. Right. That's right.
From organizations and leaders like Nadine Smith, thank you all for being there.
Nadine in years.
Yeah, and at Sunshine Cathedral, which is where they provide a safe space.
Nice for you to come join us on the East Coast. Somebody got you off the West. Nadine, I'm talking to you.
I'm not going to lie. It was not all good news, though. I was present for it.
Okay.
It was well attended. The vibes were there.
Yes.
Afterwards, I'm a big BD Wong fan. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World.
Sure.
I always thought was funny.
Yeah,
he's in Jurassic Park for literally one scene, and then Jurassic World is where he really carries some of the movies. My personal Facebook turned into a battleground as a result of one photo with me and BD Wong and a Kamala Harris.
Really?
Was it a racism battle?
I haven't even read most of it.
Read it.
I am just. I plan to
and then submit it back to us so we can talk about it.
An innocent, not the corporate.
I have to
Facebook.
go on your Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm friends with most of everybody at this table, I believe. I was shocked to see the DMs I got from people that I've known for many, many years, just either telling me to be more informed. It was very eye-opening.
A lot of misinformation.
Yeah. Or that I was either misinformed. Ironically, I just wanted a photo with BD Wong, and I thought the event was cool, and so on and so forth.
And so was he.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say one of the bigger names to pop in here.
That is that is the real problem, though, right? Those people live in this area. And they're part of the.
I'm not.
I mean, the people writing on his. Writing on his Facebook, and that's the problem. That LGBTQ people are not informed, and we're in a situation where we're losing our rights by the moment. That we're being erased by the moment, and they're still continuing with false information, and they're still. And it's like. This is not.
We do run with headlines. We got to slow down on that. Like we got to dive.
Yeah,
a little bit
let's
deeper.
take that running to like a slow jog.
Yeah, I mean there really is no say. There is like I do not feel attacked. I just people who don't know each other, friends of mine, the person I sat next to in the premium cabin on an international flight was chiming in from like 5 years ago. I was like,
come on,
premium cabin. That's what I'm saying. I'm not joking.
That's how much they're invested, though. That's how much they're invested in this, and it's really dangerous.
Long story short, get out there and vote.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
I keep saying that.
Vote.com if you need any information.
Harrison?
Oh, we got a little passion there. And that is today's news for the LGBTQ community and the only daily LGBTQ evening shows. That's what we did today.
Honey.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, happening on television network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Eric Restivo, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Paul Thomas, Matthew Darren, Dr. Bobby Huen, and Harrison Davies, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. Before we finish, Queer News Tonight covered this week's launch of Out for Harris at Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale. Florida's launch of the final 2 months of the presidential election brought actor B.D. Wong to headline a rally for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. The Jurassic Park and M. Butterfly Tony Award winner talked to our own Faye Watt and what he thinks is at stake for this election.
Hey everyone, I'm Faye Watt, and I'm coming to you live from Sunshine Cathedral for the Happening Out Television Network and the Faye Watt Show. We're here with B.D. Wong!
Hey there.
All right, I'm super fangirling because you folks know that I found out that I was gay with SVU.
No.
All right, yes!
Oh.
Okay?
From Mariska, you
From
mean?
Mariska,
Oh,
yes.
no.
Of course. So
She turned you.
She turned me through the screen. I went to Italy and they were giving SVU in Italian. I don't know Italian, BD, but I was watching it and I was all involved.
Oh, I
so
love it.
just to have you here next to me means so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Of course.
So BD, we're here and it's Out for Kamala. We're here
It's Out for
in
Kamala.
South Florida. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, a lot of us were somber and not knowing what the next chapter looked like for LGBTQ plus down here.
Yeah.
I, for one, was deathly afraid. I was honestly afraid. I was going to vote for Biden because that was the thing to do. But then this turn of events happened, and the beautiful Kamala Harris is now going to be, I'm manifesting it, it's happening. She's going to be our next president.
Yes, that's right.
You
Manifest
know?
it.
No, it's already manifested.
Yeah.
It's already done, okay? And so here we are, out for Kamala, and there is an Asian American man, a gay man, and there is a Latina lesbian.
Yes, that's me, and that's you.
And that's me, right? And our girl is going to represent us,
That's
and we're
right.
here fighting for her and making sure that that happens. You know, how does that wash over you?
It is really a new feeling, right? It is like I've never felt so engaged and so like energized by a person's energy and my trust that they would be looking out for me and did not. I'm not saying that Joe Biden didn't make me feel that way, but the way she expresses it is very contagious. And I'm a San Francisco boy. I grew up in the Bay Area, and she's got a Bay Area roots, and so her presence in my life as a Bay Area person is installed in me, and so I'm really a big supporter of hers. And to feel like she'll take care of all the things that I'm worried about, it's very encouraging. It's just I don't know. I just feel very positive about it in general.
And you feel like that resurrection of energy, like with Kamala and with Walz, and like I see young people that are super excited, you know, young folks that were thinking LGBTQ plus young folks.
Yeah, for a hot minute, I was kind of sad that the young people couldn't just go with Joe and like get with it and like do it, but this is what they needed.
Yes.
And it happened so gracefully, and Joe plays a huge part President Biden plays a huge part in making that so graceful for all of us to accept and to embrace. And I just think it's great. I think it's an amazing time to be alive.
It really is. And so, you know, I'm ashamed to say that I wasn't really into politics until Trump got into office, right? I was one of those lesbians just kind of just going with the flow, right? Then all of a sudden it was, I had to get on board. I had to fight, right? We had to get him out of the White House. The DNC was my telenovela 2 weeks ago. I was stuck like this. I was watching the whole thing. Like I had popcorn. I was like, nobody bother me. I'm watching DNC. Like that was the feeling that I felt. And so I fell in love with Doug. All right, like then and there, Doug, Kamala's husband, I fell in love with him. He told everybody about their anniversary story and about how he was corny, like all of us the first date. I mean, hello, Kamala's gorgeous. I would be like, it's Faye, hi. You know, I can totally see that. And so, but he's so personable, and he makes you fall in love with him. Then I see the video with you and him, and I'm cracking up. Tell us a little bit about the video and how that came up.
It was very Fast and Furious.
It was
cute. An event, you know, because I'm being sent out to all these events, and this was a wonderful event that he happened to be at, and so there was a big deal they made out of us meeting and then us making this content for, you know, my Instagram and his Instagram. And really, I don't even know him that well. But, you know, I just kind of got a crash course in Doug in the warmth of his energy and his I don't know, positive energy.
Yes, his positive energy, and it went so perfectly with you. It just went so perfectly.
My questionable energy.
Your questionable, queer, beautiful energy.
Okay, thanks.
Okay?
Yes.
It's not questionable, it's queer and fabulous. Like
It is, yeah.
Lesbian and loud.
Yes.
BD, how important are our allies right now?
So, oh, well, and that's a very good segue because Doug is the ultimate ally.
He
I
really
think,
is,
you know?
right?
He's an ally for his wife, who is running for president. You know, she's not a queer person, but you know, just a representative and a spokesperson for her, and it speaks for. And so you realize the importance of that. You realize how important it is for us to have these people who have our backs and are speaking out for us, and who matter, and who can infect other people with that same energy. So of course it's super important. That's why I came to Fort Lauderdale to talk to the crowd here today, to encourage people to step outside of their comfort zone and meet people and tough talk with them about this election and about Trump and about why they're voting for Kamala Harris, and I think that's super important. So we're all kind of allies for Kamala Harris, actually.
We are. We really are, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
No.
I love it. You're
Yeah.
from San Francisco, and you have the Castro. Well, here we have Wilton Manors. Have
Yes,
you been? Are you going to cruise by before you leave?
I have heard.
You have to
about
at least do the cruise by. Go by Eagle.
If I do, I'll never
you.
leave. I'll never leave. If I cruise by Wilton Manors, I'm never going to leave.
All right, well, we're
I'll
keeping
get
Beatty.
swallowed up.
We're keeping Beatty.
by
I'm
the
sorry.
eagle.
We're keeping him swallowed or
Yeah.
loved, however you want to see it. It's Faye What with Beatty Wong.
Say
We'll be right
what?
back. Like that. Yes, he said it. He did it. He did it. Out for Kamala. Make sure that you cast your vote.